Hey, my friend, I'm going to tell you what to do to make sure that you reach your goals in 2024. This is a little shot of confidence, a solo episode from the Casa de Confidence podcast. Thank you for tuning in and make sure that you subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or on the podcast feed. So here it is. I'm going to tell you a story first because what I'm finding from a lot of clients is that they started the year really strong, and today is the 10th, and they already fell off the wagon. They haven't been able to achieve their goals, and they have, well, started to beat themselves up because, well, it happens, right? And we're not there. So here's the story. In 2018, I went to the Camino de Santiago with handsome, hot husband Dan, and we started to do the pilgrimage. And on the second day of the pilgrimage, we were going to hit one of the major attractions of the walk, and that is the wine fountain. For those of you who don't know what the Camino de Santiago is, it is the 749-kilometer pilgrimage in northern Spain. There's several different routes that you can do, but I was doing the French Camino, the Camino that goes from the French Pyrenees all the way to Santiago de Compostela. I'm probably going to talk about the Camino in other videos or in other podcast episodes. There is a podcast episode where I speak to the Camino guide, so you may want to check that out to give you more context. But overall, Dan and I started walking in the morning, and we were so excited because this is the day we were going to hit Bodegas Irache, which is this, I guess, winery. The monks have been making wines for hundreds of years. And because many of the pilgrims that are walking through are thirsty, they set up a wine fountain that you can walk up to and just fill up with wine. Super excited for this because, my God, who doesn't want to have a wine fountain? So, as we started to walk, we were also excited because the night before, we've made some friends at the albergue we were staying, and we had made plans with the group to meet up that following day at the next town. And it was going to be a great walk. The day was going to be gorgeous. And well, we set off. As soon as we were walking through the city, one of the things that I noticed is that indeed, Dan and I do not walk at the same pace. And it was really pronounced because he kept walking in front of me and I was like 10, maybe 20 feet behind him. And because we were walking in the streets of a city, it was no big deal because there were stoplights and he would have to stop. Then eventually we made it to the fountain and filled up with wine, had a great time. We stopped for lunch and I loved the day. So we began to walk again, and we knew that our destination was probably less than 10 kilometers away, I think. I actually should look at that number. But when we began to walk, again, Dan kept walking in front of me, and I was at a much slower pace. So I said to him, "Hey, keep going, go without me, and get to the town and make sure that you get to the albergue early. Check us in and make sure that we have a room and wait for me there. I should be there shortly. I mean, I'm not that far behind you." So again, Dan being Dan, he decided to keep going and he went ahead of me. As we kept walking, the day was just amazing. And I was looking forward to the town where we were going to stay because I was told that it's an old medieval town. And at the top of the town, there is a castle on the top of the mountain. And then the town is right below it. So I was told that as you were walking, you will know when you're getting closer because you can see the castle in the distance. And as we started walking, I kept looking, and then all of a sudden, I entered this forest, and it was a magical forest. It was so beautiful, and then the light of the sun was kind of peeping in, and it was nice and warm. And I kept walking, and I stopped every so often to just take in the nature. And also, my pack was heavy, so I needed to rest, but I kept going, etc. And then I came out of the forest, and again, not a cloud in the sky. And as I look into the horizon, I was in this very pretty trail. It was, not a like rustic trail, but really paved road, kind of like a sidewalk. But it was fields and fields of these beautiful red poppies. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Like, there's not a soul in sight, and this is the beauty that this world has to offer. And I was really basking in that moment and looking at the sunlight, feeling the sun in my face, and I could see the castle in the distance. And I said, oh, good, I'm almost there. And I kept going and kept walking and kept walking. And there was another guy that we had seen some miles back at the fountain. And he was this nice little German boy, young man, rather. And he kept walking and he would pass me and wave. And I'm like, okay, hi, I'm friendly as always. Then I stopped. He kept going. And finally, I got to another town, not the town where we were going. And I saw my little German friend. He had stopped at a cafe and he was playing the guitar. Now, of course, I knew that I couldn't stop because Dan was waiting for me. And it had been probably a couple of hours since we had parted ways, and I didn't want him to worry. Now, mind you, we did not have our phones on because, well, long story. As I kept walking, I kept thinking, "Ugh, I can't believe I'm not there yet. Oh my gosh, this is getting really hard." And it started to get harder and harder because, well, I don't like climbing uphill. Not my favorite thing. And as I kept going, the pack kept getting heavier and heavier. And then I kept getting colder and colder. And I could see the signs that said 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers. And by the way, that doesn't seem like a lot because how many of you have run a 5K? I have, and it's no big deal, right? But for whatever reason, this was taking forever. It was taking forever. And at one point, was about 1.5 kilometer away, and I stopped. I threw my pack down. I didn't think I had it in me to keep going. I am really ready to cry, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to rest. And I kept thinking, no, you can't rest that long because Dan is waiting for you. He's going to worry. And I'm like, but I can't pick up the pack. It's so heavy. Oh my gosh, what are the chances that I can get an Uber? But I'm in the middle of nowhere. I can't get an Uber. So I picked up my pack and I said, all right, well, let's keep going. And I started to walk, and everything was uphill. And with every step, my body was just throbbing. My feet hurt. My pack was getting heavier. And then all of a sudden, I saw it in the distance, the entrance of the town. But it was still like, this is really freaking uphill. I could not believe it. So I'm going uphill, and I noticed that at the top of the hill, freshly showered and beautiful, was my handsome hot husband standing there waiting for me. And I got such joy and happiness watching him smiling and looking so handsome. And then he started to do something that I would have never done. He started to walk down the hill to where I was. And I thought, oh my God, this man loves me. He's so good. And he got to me and he said, I was getting worried. I asked the German guy who came by here an hour and a half ago, where were you? And he said he passed you a couple times. And I said, yeah, I told him to tell you I was coming. And I was still carrying my pack. And he said, okay, well, give me your pack. We'll keep, I'll help you. And at that moment, I realized that I didn't want to give him my pack. And I started to cry because the distance, which was not that long, seemed forever. And I had already been walking for so long and I'd been so tired that I wanted to really give up. Or I wasn't going to give up because, well, I needed to sleep somewhere, right? However, I knew that I needed to do that to prove to myself that I could. So even though I was tired, even though was crying at this point, and I was annoyed that he was helping me, he wanted to help me with the pack, and also annoyed at the fact that I wouldn't have done the same thing for him. I started to just look at the floor and look at every single step. And I said, Julie, one more step. You can do one more step. Julie, you can do one more step. Keep going, keep going. And all of a sudden, we finally made it, and we made it into the town, and we made it into the albergue where we were going to stay for the night. And I've never been happier to have made it. And here's the thing and the lesson that I learned from that many times We're going to have a goal. We're going to have something in our sights. And for many of us, we've set up some really great goals for 2024. And if you're human, you probably already kind of fell off the wagon because it's meant to happen. We begin with these big aspirations, but if we don't have the right habits, if we don't work on the systems, the processes that will help us implement these new goals and the tactics that we need to do daily to get to the goals, we are going to stumble. It's normal. Think about all the people that go to the gym and are there bright and early at 5 a.m. on January 2nd and 3rd. And then by the 10th, they're not there because it's cold and they're, running late for work or whatever. So, my friend, here are the lessons. Number one, despite the fact that the goal may seem really far away, it's okay. All it takes is putting one foot in front of the other. So if you stop and you fell off your wagon and you're taking a break, it's okay. You can start again. You can keep going. Pick up your pack and remind yourself what your destination is and why you're getting there, right? In my case, in the Camino, I was getting there because we were going to hang out with friends. We were going to meet up with this amazing group. Number two, as you're walking along, don't focus on the distance because it's going to get farther and farther away the more tired that you become. But really focus on the beauty of what's around you. And by the way, the other thing that happens, and this is really a key lesson, as you're in this journey to your goals, you're going to think that the highlight of your journey is going to be one thing. For me, I thought the highlight of my day was going to be getting to the wine fountain. But really, the highlight of my day was seeing my husband and having him come and walk alongside of me when I didn't think that I could do it. I also paid attention to the beauty that was around me because the destination was great, but the journey is what matters. So, as you're getting into 2024, I want you to focus into the journey. I want you to focus on what is the next best step and give yourself some grace. We are going to take a little bit of break if we haven't been used to walking, if we haven't been used to moving along and going big. Now, I want you to tell me in the comments what your goals are, and I want you to tell me what can I do to support you? Because by the way, we can't do it alone. This community of confident you, Casa de Confidence, is here to come alongside with one another. Because when we feel that we can't make it one more step, having someone by your side will help you get to your goals. So thank you for listening. And again, if this was helpful, I ask you to share it with a friend and leave me a comment because I want to know if it made sense. All right. Until next week, this is Julie, and this is your little shot of confidence from the Casa de Confidence podcast. Bye.